Hi guys, it's Kelly Latevola here, and I'm back with another video for Neat and Tangled. And today we're going to be doing something that is a little bit different for me. So we're working with the Hello Fall stamps and dies, and then also the Birch leaf, which is new, and the oak leaf, which is a little bit older. So when I was sitting down to do this card, I really loved all of the elements in the Hello Fall set, but I wasn't really sure how to put them together. And so I started thinking about some people's cards that I really admire and that I love and is a different style than mine. And I decided to attempt a collage card. So this is not my usual style. I am stamping this background in antique linen distress oxide because they stamp so beautifully and it's a really nice cream color. And then I wanted to, they have this solid piece in there that says grateful, thankful, blessed. And I wanted to kind of make my own embellishment with it. So that's first things first that we're learning. I am going to do like a gradient, a color gradient. And so I have a couple of Simon Says stamp inks here that I'm going to use. I ink up the stamp, the portion that I want, and this one's going to be at a diagonal. And then I use a baby wipe to just kind of blot the edges, which will help it blend into the next color. So this, which is the one I use the least of course, this Merlot color turned out to be my favorite. And you'll see here, you want to clean your stamp in between. Yes, my stamp is stained. It's not, it's always going to look like this. Good quality photo polymer stamps stain. I know that drives some people crazy because you're looking at your stamp set as an investment, and it is. You'll be able to use it over and over again, but the stain, the color staining won't affect the way it stamps at all. Nonetheless, here I am doing the orange peel next, and I didn't really love the way that the first stamping came out, so I'm just going to do it again. That's the joy of having any sort of stamp position, or I happen to use the Misty, but so we're gonna go through all of those colors there. I did something similar to this with Distress Oxides, which you did if you came to the Neat and Tangled class at the end of October. And it was so much fun. It was such a good time. I loved seeing Danielle. I loved meeting you guys. I really, really hope to have more opportunities to get out there and teach. It was just so much fun. So let's talk, obviously, very quickly about the trip, because this is not a particularly long video. You know why? No Copic coloring. I know. I made a whole card, and there ain't a Copic in it. Can you even believe it? I'll wait while you pick yourself up off the floor. Honestly. Goodness. So we drove, one of my friends, he's also one of the guys that I work with, his name is Eric, drove me to Delaware and kind of hung out for the weekend. And it was, oh wait, we're going to make this embellishment first. So the way that I'm going to make this into this stamped image into an embellishment is actually just really super quick, one step: glossy accents. Glossy Accents has so many different uses. It's an adhesive, which I never use it for, ever. But then it also creates this very shiny, that's why it's called Glossy Accents, right? Basically, it turns almost anything into, like, it looks like a sticker, like that you would buy at the store. And so that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just coating my square here with Glossy Accents. And sometimes you do get like little bubbles in the Glossy Accents. They're usually pretty tiny, but if you want to get rid of those, I just take a needle and pop them. And that's what you can see what I'm doing here. And then I'm setting that aside to dry. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my leaves next. But anyway, we drove through to Delaware from Ohio, and it was about a 7-hour trip. It wasn't a bad trip on the way down at all. It was super nice, and we drove at night, so there was less traffic, because I got some high anxiety, which he was really respectful of. And so all in all, very good. We get to the hotel at like 3 a.m. Now, oh, here I got a little helper. He wanted to help me stamp my leaves. He's such a good little helper. So we get to the hotel at about 3 a.m. That's when we arrived. I'm going to do, we're going back to the card. You know how I flip-flop. You know how I do. So super, super quick coloring. And I like doing this method with the distress inks. Now, I picked inks over oxides because inks are brighter. But pretty much this is like the best way to get a multicolor leaf that I have found. Like that the colors blend seamlessly and there, isn't any weirdness as far as even if you get some like green next to your red or any of those things. Like they all the colors work really well together in this kind of format. I'm sloppily coloring these because I'm going to fussy cut them. If you have the dyes, then you would see like the color on the edge, but I don't know how big of a deal that is to you. I didn't use the dyes. I chose to hand cut them because I just wanted that look, that clean look of the leaves. So anyway, get to the hotel, 3 a.m. We pull up to the hotel, and you know how every hotel has that like portion where you pull up and there's like a overhang and you park your car there and then you go in and check in. And so that's what we do. Well, there's a bench to the left. It's like the smoker's spot. And there is a guy slumped over on the bench. Okay, he's completely slumped over. Side note for this card. Using gold perfect pearls to splatter both of my leaves and my background that I have going on. But I forgot first that I wanted to do just plain water. So that's what you see me doing here. It's my little finger point. Like, wait 1 second, because I don't know what I'm doing in the order that I'm doing it. So anyway, we pull up, this guy slumped over on the bench. And so I go in, I check in, Eric waits in the truck. I come out and I'm like, has that guy moved? And he was like, no, he hasn't moved. And I was like, is he dead? Like, do we need to call the police? And he's like, Kelly, it's a Halloween decoration. And I start cracking up laughing. I'm like, get out of here. I totally thought that was a person like that. I'm so stupid. That's so funny. And he's making fun of me. We park the vehicle where I'm picking your stuff. He's like, I'm totally going to make you take a picture with this so that I can show people back at work how silly you are that you thought that this thing was, a real person or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, I'm not taking a picture with that thing. That's not happening. Like, it's not happening. It's probably one of those things that moves. It will jump out at me. I will pee myself. Everybody will be uncomfortable and embarrassed. Like, it's not happening. And he's like, no, we're definitely doing this. So he starts to walk over to where this bench is. And I don't know, he gets 3/4 of the way there and he turns around and he was like, oh, it moved. It's a real it's a real person. It's real. And I was like, I told you it was a real person. You were making fun of me thinking I don't know Halloween decoration when I see one, but now it's a dude. So I was actually very concerned for that man's welfare, but then when we checked with the desk, they said that like he'd been there for a while and they weren't worried. Okay. That's and the next morning he was gone, so apparently he must have been fine. There wasn't any police tape or anything. Back to the card. So these are cut out, fussy cut out, and then I always outline them with the black. You want to make sure you don't use an alcohol marker. It'll bleed into your paper. Use a water-based marker. My favorite is Memento Tuxedo Black. And then I have cut a bunch of these fall dies. And I cut them all out of chocolate paper, like chocolate colored paper, because I felt like that matched my theme the best. Another little nosy hand there. He wanted to use my glue, basically is what it came down to, because he was making his own card, but I couldn't let him use my glue because I'm clearly in the middle of using it. So I did the chocolate colored cardstock, and then I put it's like a chocolatey glitter color paper over it, which I love because glitter, duh. And now I'm going to trim out my embellishment. You want to make sure this thing is completely dry. If it's still cold on the back, it's not completely dry. If you're going to try to cut it out, you need to be super careful. I did mine by hand, but you could certainly do this with a paper trimmer, unless you're doing some other shape. But as soon as I get it into the light, you'll be able to see like it's shiny, like a sticker. It's super cool. It's just like another little thing to add some interest, which, back to the whole point of the video, the collage card is important. So if you're going to do a collage card, typically you're going to have a smaller elements grouped together. And so first things first, I made sure that my elements were in an odd number, because if you do things in even numbers, your brain automatically starts to group them. So I have the leaves, the fall, the sign, well, two leaves, the fall, the little sticker embellishment that we've created, and then the background stamp. So those are my five items that are being grouped together. I love that the oak leaf is taller than the birch leaf, so that creates a little bit more interest there. And then the way that you put them together, the way that you group them together, you want to lead the eye around the card. Now, I know that just sounds like once upon a time I had this counselor, and he was like, the way you think affects how you feel, so you have to change the way you think. And he just kept repeating that, but then he would never tell me how to change the way that I thought. Like, it was wild. That's how I feel like I sound when I say, you want to lead the eye. What that means is there should be a flow where your eye falls and then naturally moves to each individual element. So for me, when I look at this card, I go directly to that glitter fall. From the fall, I go up to the left and look at the embellishment to the leaves, and then back around to the right-hand side of the card to look at the background stamping. I accented this with a couple of gold sequins just because I love all of the shimmery things. And I'm really happy with the way that it came out. It feels very fall-like, and since we're heading into that season, it's very fitting. But you could do this for any season. This is just happens to be the one that we're in. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.